Yes, they have. And to find out if there are any...
Let's do this.
This week, we take the Grand Tour on a journey through history.
We begin. Get out of the way.
And I was using this Volkswagen Amarok.
Doing. Oh. Is that barrel gonna... Fire everywhere! Here we go!
Very much. Welcome, and coming up in this week's show, Abby is sideways on ice in a 911 Turbo. Richard drives Jim Clark's beautiful Lotus 25, and I nearly fall over. Yeah. Exciting looking show. That is all to come. Now.
Hang on a minute. Does that mean Howard and Adrian aren't coming on, then?
No. Haven't got time. We actually begin with the French. Now, they don't make a sports car very often, but when they do, literally nobody buys it. We've had the Venturi Atlantique, and then there was the Matra Murena, and then there was the Simca Sport. And all of them fell down the back of the sofa of history.
Yeah, but you're conveniently forgetting to mention the best of the French sports car makers.
Well, that's like saying the best of the airborne plagues. What is it?
No.
The best of the...
No, it isn't. There is one French maker that's been consistently good at making sports cars, and they've made a new one, and I've been testing it. It's called the A110, and it's made by Alpine, a French sports car firm who have a history of hitting the spot. The original A110, for example, won the World Rally Championship in 1973. And it's that car that gives the new one not only its name, but also its looks. So, what we have here is a small, pure, no-nonsense sports car aimed squarely at the Porsche Cayman and the Audi TT. Here we go. The A110 is, in fact, a mid-engine, rear-drive sports car designed from scratch on a clean sheet of paper. Whole lightness and smallness thing cascades down in a sort of waterfall of pure joy. Well, that's interesting. Help! Danger. the chassis are made entirely of aluminium, and the reason for that is simple. It's lightness. And from that starting point, the Alpine engineers nerded their way through the rest of the car and shaved off every spare gram they could find. So, thanks to Alpine's fanatical diet regime, this car is 300 kilos lighter than a Cayman or an Audi TT. And that has a profound effect. 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds. Top speed limited to 155 miles an hour. And then, when you get to a corner, you find out just how agile this thing is. It's like driving a feather. Go! The seats are half the weight of the ones you'll find in any hot Renault. The handbrake is built in. It's like driving a feather. Away! The seats are half the weight of the ones you'll find in any hot Renault. The handbrake is built into the main calipers, rather than being separate, saving another 2.5 kilos. Even the stereo is a bespoke, lightweight design. It's like driving a feather. Go. The seats are half the weight of the ones you'll find in any hot Renault. The handbrake is built into the main calipers, rather than being separate, saving another 2.5 kilos. Even the stereo is a bespoke, lightweight design. Rubbish! Go! Full throttle. Ow! Ah! But even though the A110 is built to minimalist principles, you never feel like you're in some miserable Spartan.
Hang on a minute.
civilization is a town called Morn. In order to reach it, you must build the contents of these boxes. You have enough food for 7 days.
With this not such a serious situation, it would be a good laugh.
There must have been 30 or 40 people in the room when the police arrived. Jesus Christ, I'm too close to the edge. Oh.
Let's sing a song.
No.
It may not be able to get as far up a ski slope as a Range Rover, but for doing this, it's better.
But would it be good enough to get past Abby in that Porsche?
There she is. There she is. Get a bloody move on.
Now we'd find out what's what on our specially designed trip.
To make this car, Lambo's engineers had a good rummage in Volkswagen's past code. So the engine, a 42 V8, is from Aero. The rear axle and air suspension is from a Bentley Bentayga. The platform on which it sits and a lot of the dashboard is from Audi SQ7. So does that mean this isn't really a Lamborghini at all? Hurry up! Right then. Get on with it. Oh, my Urus is a bit twitchy. Something to take to the doctor. Drive carefully. Here we go. Speed up again now. Now we go on to the really fast bit.
For lap after lap, the big, heavy Urus clawed at the rear end of the 911 Turbo.
Oh, God. Really? No.
But eventually, I had to admit defeat.
Let's do this.
This time, though, the death sent shockwaves through the motorsport world, because it had just lost the man who was unquestionably the greatest racing driver of his day, and who many argue is still the greatest of all time.
Jim Clark has died in an accident during a Formula 2 race in West Germany.
It was a terrible shock to everybody. It really knocked us all back. If there was anybody who was not going to have a fatal accident, it was Jim Clark, because he drove in such a way that he just didn't do the mistakes that other drivers did.
In California, a radio station broadcaster announcing the news of Clark's death asked his listeners to turn on their headlights as a mark of respect. And the freeways lit up. Such a huge global fuss would not have sat easily with Clark, because this shy, modest man, the son of a Scot...
Here we go!
Having cut his teeth...
Hurry up!
I am sitting where Jim Clark sat.
We're off. Power, this is good. Gotta keep the pressure on.
It is electrifying! I am sitting where Jim Clark sat.
Right, we're all set. Come on, come on, come on.
It is electrifying! These were not powerful cars. They only made 210 brake horsepower for 1.5 litres, but they were still good for 180 miles an hour. Oh!
Thanks to its revolutionary monocoque chassis, the 25 was stiffer and lighter than any other F1 car, which meant it wasn't just fast on the straights, but quicker through the corners too.
Go!
Are you ready? I shall be victorious. Watch this. Go, go, go! Oh, I was born to do this! And in the 1963 season, Clark used it to win a record 7 out of the 10 Grand Prix.
Winner is Jim Clark. Nobody could possibly catch him now.
But 1963 was just a warm-up for what was to come.